Ah, finally got my doctorate in theology with the specialization of scientism. So, what exactly is going to be the first thing I do with my scientism degree?
How can anything evolve from an amoeba to a man without adding new genetic information?
Oh, fuck, not Lee Strobel. God damn it. Well, hello, heathens. How are you guys doing today? Today, we have Lee Strobel is going to be gracing us with his presence once again to tell us how evolution is not true, while attacking exactly what evolution is not.
You hear this one a lot. Science has proven evolution, therefore evolution is true. Since evolution...
Yes, we do indeed hear that a lot, Lee. We hear this a lot because it is indeed a fact. We hear this in science class because it's a scientific fact. Thank you, Lee, for stating the obvious.
True. Since evolution is true and Christians don't believe it, then Christians don't believe science and they aren't rational people.
And they aren't rational people. See, this is where he starts off. Like, he can't go, it is 7 seconds. He can't go 10 seconds without creating a straw man fucking argument. This is a straw man. Nobody says that since there are some Christians out there that don't believe evolution, that they don't believe in science. Since that they don't believe in evolution, maybe they can't do science properly, at least in that regard. Not that they don't believe in science or they can't do science at all. They can't do science with that respect, and that they aren't rational people. No, they're not rational people for a lot of other reasons. How about the pure and simple fact that they believe a wizard in the sky created everything? How about the fact that they think that a snake can talk and persuade a woman to eat an apple, which a magical being told them exactly not to do. But then you have the paradoxical thing of the magical being telling the humans, hey, don't eat this, but the humans don't know that it's wrong for them to eat the thing. Like, see, that's irrational. Though all those things are irrational, them not believing in evolution is so far from the thing that makes them irrational that it's not even, at this point, there's no point in bringing it up. That's what makes this whole thing a stupid argument.
They aren't rational people. Really. Let's put that claim to the test.
Oh, no. Let's put that claim to the test there, Lee. Let's put your investigative reporting to the test. I think that your old boss should definitely give you an F on whatever kind of investigative reporter test they give you. I don't know what the fuck, but you definitely should have failed that goddamn class.
First off, evolution in the sense that things change is evident. No rational person disputes that. Therefore, rational Christians believe it. We can observe change, but evolution in the sense that life came from non-life and then that life began to randomly...
No. This isn't evolution. Like, life coming from non-life is abiogenesis. That is not evolution. These are two different scientific principles. You want to argue abiogenesis? Fine, argue abiogenesis. But don't sit here in an evolution video and argue against abiogenesis and say that it's evolution. It's not, Lee. Argue against evolution. You're just double speaking at this point.
Generate new genetic information, and over time it eventually produced humans, is something entirely different.
No, well, it is entirely different because it's a different fucking scientific goddamn argument, Lee.
Something that quite honestly doesn't hold up against science.
It does hold up against science because we have scientific experiments that we have run to show that amino acids can form, rudimentary organic materials. We've shown that these things are possible to make by themselves. And, true that it's highly improbable for them to do it on their own. But when you actually think about the number of times that these things are given the chance to happen, they're still going to happen several million times. So your entire thing here about it not standing up against science is utter bullshit.
In other words, evolution in the sense of molecules to man is not scientifically plausible. And
it is scientifically possible because science is a way for us to describe the natural world, and that we're here, Lee, and that's how it fucking happened, Lee.
therefore should not be viewed as scientific fact.
It is a scientific fact because we've proven it to be a scientific fact. If you have evidence to disprove it as a scientific fact, please present it. But as far as I know, you haven't won a Nobel Prize for disproving goddamn evolution, Lee.
Quite honestly, it is in great opposition to science, that is, observational science, the kind of science we can test and repeat and use our five senses to understand. Science.
Actually, we can. I mean, true, we can't in one single experiment show how amino acids can form into like RNA molecules, and then those RNA molecules form into simple-celled organisms, and then those simple-celled organisms multiply into multicellular organisms, and then go into these, into humans. I mean, we can't do that, of course. That's a dipshit thing to think that you can do. But what you can do is small experiments proving individual portions of the process, like proving that amino acids can form into these self-replicating things, proving that, you can form RNA molecules, proving that, you can have these RNA molecules turn into, or easily turn into, single-celled organisms. Like, you can show how these things are possible, and that's how you get the theory of abiogenesis. That's how it stands up to scientific scrutiny. You know what doesn't stand up to scientific scrutiny? The way that Genesis says that it happens. And you know how Genesis, this is literally how Genesis says that it happens. Let there be light. Abracadabra. That's how it says it happens.
Demonstrates that over time,
why are there boobs flying across my screen? I will never know.
Living organisms lose genetic information. They don't gain it. That's
okay. This is such a tired point. I'm gonna let it play out, but it's a really tired point.
Same science demonstrates that life doesn't arise from non-life. Hey, follow along if you would. Fact 1. There is no known observable process by which new genetic information can be added to an organism's genetic code. None. Okay,
this is complete bullshit. I present you with the very thing that he says doesn't exist. This is on the Talk Origins website. It's claim CB102. Mutations are random noise. They do not add information. Evolution cannot cause an increase in information. They do, actually. There's an increase in genetic variety, increase in genetic material, novel genetic material, novel genetically regulated abilities. These are all experiments that prove that mutations actually do add new, quote-unquote, information. What it does is it changes the genetic code, if you will, of the DNA. That's just swapping out the different chemicals in it. It's not information as, like ones and zeros and whatnot. It's different chemicals. It's not information as we would know it. It has a lot more of it has a lot grander of a connotation as just swapping out a 1 for a 0. But you have dipshits like Lee Strobel that doesn't understand that doesn't understand how codes work and how biological processes work. And, he's got Dunning-Kruger turned up to fucking 11, and he just goes full force with it like he should be wearing a goddamn helmet.
That pretty much refutes evolution right away, because there's no way to go from a fish to an amphibian without adding new information.
No, it doesn't refute it right away. It doesn't at all. I can't believe someone can claim to be this smart and be this dumb at the same time. You would think that I wouldn't be surprised at this point, but I still am. I really am.
If living organisms cannot produce new genetic information, how can anything gradually change into something of higher intelligence or form or complexity? That is, how can anything evolve from an amoeba to a man without adding new genetic information?
Okay, how can anything evolve, blah, 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 blah. You wouldn't be able to evolve. You wouldn't be able to do that without changing the genetic information. Not exactly adding new genetic information, but you would have to change the genetic information through mutation and using natural selection. But you see, we've already proven, Lee, that you can, in fact, do that.
The answer, of course, is that it can't, plain and simple. Now, some have speculated and they have imagined all kinds of things, and they brought in artists to produce creative renderings based on guesses, and they have been successful in telling a very convincing story that humans evolved from ape-like creatures. But
you know what's also a seemingly convincing story? The Bible. That people use artist renditions of Jesus all the time. Why do you think he always turns out white instead of actually Middle fucking Eastern?
those are just drawings, people. They're just stories. But what
They're just drawings, people. They're just stories. I could say the same thing about the Bible, with the exception that, evolution, we actually have scientific proof for. There's no proof for anything in the Bible, including Jesus.
we really observe is humans are humans and apes are apes. Now, if fact one buried evolutionary thinking deep into the Precambrian soil, this next fact, fact two, tosses so much sediment on it that not even the greatest team of paleontologists with the latest subterranean gizmo could dig up the remains.
Nothing here, Mac. I guess he's thinking that he's being funny here. Fact two, my bet. Okay, fact two is not actually going to do any of this shit. Fact two is going to fall flat on his fucking face, kind of like he got pushed down the stairs. We'll see.
Check this out. Never.
Let's test gravity, guys.
Again, never has it been observed that life can come from non-life. So here are two major scientific evidences against evolution. I reiterate for clarity, life has never been observed to come from non-life, and there is no known, observable process by which new genetic information can be added to the genetic code.
Okay, so wait, the second one was that no, like seriously, we're almost done with the video, and he's basically repeated two things over and over and over again the entire video. That life can't come from non-life, and that you can't add new information to genetic material, which both are bullshit. First of all, you can't say that non-life can't come, or life can't come from non-life. I mean, maybe we haven't observed it in a natural setting before. That doesn't mean that it can't happen. You can't say that you know for sure that it can't happen. You would have to have proof that it can't happen. What they most likely will come at you with is this whole Law of Biogenesis, which was actually come up with by Louis Pasteur. Pasteur came up with it because he had the hypothesis that flies actually came from rotting meat. Like that rotting meat would sit there and the decaying matter actually turned into flies. But he figured out that actually the flies would come in, feed on it, lay the maggots would then turn into flies. And that's how he came up with that. But he never meant it in a way that would suggest that, life could never, absolutely never come from non-life, just that life could never come from decaying matter kind of thing. So this entire point is bullshit.
An organism. So molecules to man evolution doesn't really make scientific sense. Yet,
you know what doesn't make scientific sense? Talking fucking snakes, talking fucking donkeys. Like seriously, what is it with the Bible and talking animals? The only places that you find, like that. Oh damn! What's that one story with all the talking animals in the farm? It's like it's a parable on socialism and communism about a pig and a farm. I don't know right now. You only see them in fables and parables and stuff. Where they anthropomorphize animals with human characteristics. You only see that there, and you have Moses who turns a stick into a snake, then he comes back again, and shit like that. I mean, it's really awesome. Animal Farm. That's right, Animal Farm. No, Animal House. Animal House, the frat movie? Yeah, Animal House was the frat movie. That was awesome. Charlotte's Web, that's another good one. See, I'm working off of a highly, like a head cold handicap, and I'm burying.
We are all here, and life is all around us in various forms. Although evolution cannot account for this, the Bible can.
Well, who didn't see that fucking coming, right? We didn't see the Bible coming. Of course, Jesus Christ. I mean, listen, Moses wrote the Constitution as well as created democracy. Jesus Christ not only did mathematics, but also created everything in the world.
The Bible reveals that the all-powerful, all-knowing, supernatural God created the heavens and the earth out of nothing, and all life according to its kinds, that is, each with its own set of genetic information.
Okay, you know what really settles it for me as far as, like, regardless of the fact of the whole Bible and everything like that, but, like, with Noah's Ark having, like, each of its own kind and whatever that bullshit might be. But, like, considering that you can't really argue with a creationist about all of that bullshit, but when they get to the point where they're starting to argue with you about all the animals and their kinds and how that explains shit, when they get to that point, it's like, okay, you do realize that if all the animals were on the ark to get the variety of life that we have today, like, each animal would literally have to poop out 11 new species a day after the ark in order for us to have the new kinds of life that we see today. That's like that, and that's not stopping. Like, that's 11 new species from the time that Noah stepped off the ark to now. 11 new species to now. Each day, a new, like, a rodent would have to poop out new species of rodents every single day of its life until now. It's a lot.
So, again, what the Bible reveals makes sense of what we see and understand.
No, not what the Bible reveals makes sense. In the Bible, it says there's a firmament above the earth. And that, I mean, I think the fact that when we launched a shuttle and we didn't crash into the firmament, that was pretty good proof.
Evolution does not.
Enough said. See, this is the point where the pigeon just knocks over all the chess pieces and shits on the board. That this is the exact point. Like, if you had to pinpoint any point in a conversation where the pigeon shits on the board and walks away like you won, this is the point exactly where that happens. All right, I'm going to see you guys later. Y'all have a wonderful night, and I guess I hope that you guys will join me for the show on Friday. I'm going to be trying to stream some Dead Rising 4 on Friday night. I'll see you guys later. Y'all have a nice night, great weekend, and later, guys.